What's up, YouTube? It's Phil from Very Good Management. I'm here to give you a very good update on how things are looking for our Sailing Unleaded team in 2025. Stay tuned for all the updates and make sure that you subscribe, hit that like button, and follow us for more updates. Today, we're gonna ask some questions of our wonderful sailing team and figure out what's coming up new in 2025 and all the stuff that's been going on during the off season to this day.
So guys, we're sitting on the new boat. What led you to this change?
Well, Nicole.
Glad you asked.
Attempt number 2.
Whew.
I'm not ready for this. To this change.
Unleaded, what led you?
What
Yeah.
unled us to this
What
change?
unled you to this?
Are you filming?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, we have been looking for a different boat. Hold on. I always look at boats for sale, so that's just a given. I think that's what you do when you own a boat and you like boats. But we seriously have been looking at a replacement for Unleaded 1 for probably 3 years.
It is August 12th, 2022, and we are en route to seeing boat number 2. We don't know how long this process will be, but we're in it for the long run. It is a Beneteau 54, and we are driving 2 hours north from Detroit to Bay City to see it.
Went as far as Greece to look at catamarans, Florida, obviously.
Maine? Somewhere on
No.
the East Coast.
Maryland, in the Chesapeake Bay, and this one that we're sitting on that we ended up buying in Toronto. So it's a 46-foot Bleu Marine catamaran. There's only one, built by the original builder of the Manta catamaran. So the Manta 38 in the early 2000s, which turned into the Manta 42. After the fact, that's a whole story by itself, but yeah, we wanted a boat that was more family friendly,
Friend friendly.
friends friendly, that allowed us to have guests, travel longer and more comfort, and retain some amount of performance. And we obviously gave up a lot of performance going from a trimaran to a sporty trimaran to a cruising cat. There's fast catamarans too. That's
True.
That's not exactly
True.
it's not because it's a cat, but it's because it's a cruising cat that it's a lot slower. And yeah, we just did a race and we abandoned because we were not moving anymore, but that's okay. I'd say half the fleet probably abandoned. So
We wanted to get to Put-in-Bay a little quicker than floating.
yeah.
What are the differences between when you're racing Unleaded 1 versus when you're racing Unleaded 2? Do you feel like you got the same angle, the same approach, the same perspective?
Yeah, it's different. This boat is slower and we're still learning it, right? We've had it in the water for 3 weeks now, exactly 3 weeks.
Wow.
So we're still figuring a lot of things out, but there's some obvious things where it doesn't go upwind as well as the trimaran. This boat has keels, the Tri had a dagger board, so they're completely different boats. The power to weight ratio of the trimaran was a lot higher also, so this boat here is probably really good in 25, 30, 35 knots of wind, but we haven't really done that yet. But looking forward to it for sure. But the reality is that in lighter winds, it's a lot slower. But it's a lot more comfortable. So if it rains, if it's cold, if it's wavy, it just wears you off a lot less.
Carrie, can you expand on all the things that Unleaded 2 has that Unleaded 1 didn't? Maybe space, amenities?
I think the biggest thing is we had stairs that went down to the cockpit. I mean, they're night and day boats, so you can't really compare, but the stairs just felt like you never really wanted to go in and out of the boat. And just having, like, we're in the cockpit, you can run inside, it's all kind of one level, is night and day for me. It's really And sitting in the cockpit, we have 2 inboard diesel somethings, engines, not sure the make. And it's just so quiet. Unleaded one, you have the outboard, and it's like just quiet. You feel like you're on, I don't know, a train. It's just beautiful. So, 2 things.
And you talked about how it's more family friendly, more friend friendly. Can you talk about maybe how this helps your family?
Yeah. Well, we have a 2.5 years old kid on board, so in this boat right here, we can be inside the cabin with our daughter and still be part of the sailing. We see out. We are. It's easy to, as you said, move in and out of the cockpit to the cabin, as opposed to going on a companionway in the ladder. So what ended up happening when cruising on the Tri is, and we've done it. You know, we went on it. We went on it for 2.5 months nonstop. I was sailing the boat alone outside, and Carrie and Savannah were inside, couldn't see out.
Yeah.
Had really, no table, no bench. Really,
and it was
it's
totally,
almost unfair to compare them because they're different, completely different boats.
And it works though. It works. Like we could have still worked with the trimaran. You just make it work, right?
Yeah.
So what boats did you seriously consider before ending on this one?
Carrie had the very simple requirements. I had added on top very complex requirements where I didn't want a boat that doesn't sail well. Right. So it removes a lot of catamarans out of the equation, and evidently we're always leaning more towards a multi-hull. So as a result, the first boat that I went to see in person was a SIG 45 in Greece. So I happened to be in Italy for work for many weeks, and it was very convenient to go see it.
Beautiful boat.
Yeah, it was open. No cabin in the middle, so a lot sportier boat, same length as this, but half the weight and a lot more exposed. But it was quite expensive, and it looked good in pictures and from far, but closely, like it needed to be painted, and all the hardware was rusted, and also like the boom, you didn't have standing headroom under the boom, so having the whole family duck is not exactly doesn't meet our criteria of like making it easy to have guests when you have to always kind of fear for your life. But really cool design, hybrid propulsion, fast, but anyway, that didn't work out.
Also really interested in 3 parts of the world where we would buy a boat and bring it back to Canada to have the experience of like an ocean crossing, and to also bring like a unique boat to the US and Canada market to hopefully resell when we're done using it and having fun with it. So that's why we were interested in the boats that were farther away. And then we kind of looked into like taxes and importing, and we didn't do a deep dive, but it really spooked us, and we're like, hey. Anyway, so we did still look at a few boats.
Yeah, when you do a dive into the laws of importing boats, it's a strong deterrent. Yeah. We're Canadians, so what made the most sense was to buy a Canadian boat and not have to deal with any of that stuff. So yeah, second boat that I saw was a Chris White design Atlantic 42. Love the design and the philosophy behind it. So if you're not familiar, it's a forward cockpit catamaran, which has obvious pros and cons, where you're exposed to spray and wind and everything, but also you're basically at the base of the mast, so you have all the controls in front of you, and you see really well forward. Like here, we're sitting in a cockpit, and we can only look back and to the sides. On that boat, when you sit in the cockpit, you can only see forward and the side. You don't have the rear, so it's a little different. But anyway, these boats, I mean, kudos to the designer, because these boats retain their value like crazy, and we made an offer on it, which was low for the seller, but for us it was still pretty high, and they did not accept it. It's probably a good thing in the end, because we got this one for a lot less money. Boat number 3 that I went to see in Florida was a Main Cat 38. similar to the SIG 45, open cockpit in the middle, only amenities in the halls. Much lower price, a more reasonable size, but there's a few things that I saw in it that were concerning to me, some cracks or
Between the bridge deck and the hulls, I think.
yeah. And then going back and forth a little bit, we kind of figured out that it could have been not a big
Just
problem,
simple.
but it kind of I had a bad feeling. So it's a lot of money, so
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta back out of it.
Yeah.
This boat that we're on, did I talk about that already? I think we bought it without you seeing it,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
Saw it, made an offer, pretty aggressive, money-wise, but with kind of a lot of
Pros for the owner, like it was
Yeah,
a
how
quick
do you say-
close. We bought it without it ever being in the water. It was
Yeah.
on the hard, and we're like, screw it, this is ours.
No sea trial,
Yeah,
no
that's-
no survey, no survey conditions. So basically, it's a foam core vinyl ester fiberglass boat. So it's the likelihood of rot in the core is next to nothing. You still risk delamination, but it's built by a very experienced boat builder, and the boat has now almost 37,000 nautical miles. So it's proven. I kind of like that. You would think maybe you want a low usage boat, but the flip side of it is you don't know if all the problems and everything that had to break broke. But there's certainly at 37,000 nautical miles, everything that had to break broke. It got fixed, and you're probably gonna be fine. So that's it. It's a seasoned boat, but yeah, lots of room, lots of comfort.
This is the Etienne monologue video. It's about time we have one of these.
Yeah, just get me started.
What if somebody wanted to do this, right? Somebody out there is like, hey, I'm looking at either upgrading my current situation, or I'm looking to buy a multi-hull for the first time, or something like that. What advice would you give people out there on the great internet?
Right? I think everybody says this. Have firm things that you will not compromise, that you're looking for in a boat, that you are willing to compromise, and things that are nice to haves, especially when there's two people, and Savannah, she has a say, weighing in on the purchase. You really need like the set things written down. And that way, because there's so many boats out there, you can pick all these different boats, and it's like, if performance is number one, that's what you're looking for. If comfort or the cockpit, I think that's the biggest.
I can speak a lot to that.
Yeah.
I think there's two cases. There's a first-time boat buyer,
True.
and there's an existing boat owner that wants to buy a boat. So I think for the first-time boat buyer,
Just buy a boat.
it's to
No?
don't buy an expensive boat.
Yeah, oh my God.
Buy a simple one that's cheap, and then by using that boat, you will be able to create that list of criteria of things that matter to you. Also, don't listen too much to the internet. Like there's trends of having the fastest possible boat or this and that, aluminum, fiberglass, whatever. Just stick to your criteria that you have developed based on your experience. And the lowest risk way of doing that is to buy a simple boat. Use it around where you live, and then learn from that. For somebody upgrading, the saying that the grass is always greener on the neighbor's lawn is really true on boats. And like for whoever has bought a boat, there's typically a year or two of getting familiar with it and working out all the quirks on it, and also like making it yours by fine-tuning a few things. And then you get bored and then you start looking at other boats, but then you have to do that again on the next boat. And initially, like, there might be a little bit of a honeymoon phase, but real quick you end up you're deep down into boat works to make it again what you want it to be. So, and then again, be careful of just like what everyone is saying. Like from the YouTube channels that I watch, the big thing is buying a cruising boat that's super fast. But we had a very fast trimaran and cruised it, and like we struggled to make it go slow enough for it to be like safe and comfortable, so that we don't wear off everyone on the boat. So this boat can't go 22 knots. On the one we went 22 knots multiple times, but we had to bring it down to, while cruising, 8. 7 to be like manageable. This thing I can have at 10, 11, 12 and be way more comfortable than the 22 knot boat that you're running at 7 knots. So it's like this weird paradox that because it can go faster doesn't mean you want to. And all the things you're giving up in amenities to give it the ability to go faster, you don't have them with you. So it's interesting. You really gotta not fall into the trap of like single use. Do you want to see our boat?
Hi. Very nice. I like it. Peace. DraftKings.
DraftKings! Let's go. Oh.
Oh, figure it was on green tea.
No, it's supposed to taste
It's
like
supposed to
Oh.
taste like green tea. It tastes like I'm not mad about that either.
Woo!